Before we begin this video, I need to ask you a favor. Serbia is currently going through a pretty rough period. When are we not, though? A couple of months ago, 15 people were killed in an accident caused by the fall of a concrete and glass canopy in one of our city's train stations. The said accident happened due to the negligence and corruption of the ruling party that's been causing chaos here for the past 35 years or so, but that has officially been in power for over a decade. Students have started peaceful protests asking for justice, but the ruling party just keeps ignoring our demands. On top of that, they have been aggressively going after the students and anyone trying to stand up to them, with violence occurring at protests, people being threatened they will lose their jobs if they do protest against the government, etc. But due to the lack of proper media coverage in Serbia, let alone in the world, there hasn't been much support from other countries' politicians, people with influence, and the general public. The symbol of protests has been a red hand, symbolizing the fact that the government has blood on their hands. They in turn responded with putting up red middle finger signs and graffiti all around the capital and cities where protests have occurred. So their response to the people asking for justice for people that were killed was a middle finger. I implore you to, if you can, share some of the infographics and articles that I will link in the description and the top comment of this video. Any sort of engagement here helps. Thank you. So, if we're going by the logic of the comments from Season 15's cast ranking video, where you guys said I was miserable, negative, and a horrible person, just like in general, for saying that a season of Drag Race was not good, I guess you're going to think that I'm fun, cheery, and the biggest humanitarian ever because, oh my god, I loved Season 16. I wouldn't say I regret not watching this season live, but I do wish I could have experienced talking about this season week by week with some of y'all. Let's get the obvious out of the way. This cast is such an upgrade compared to Season 15. There were so many great, different, fully realized aesthetics and types of drag that it did seem like this could be anyone's season to win. The casting is of course not flawless, it can never be, with the main problem for this season's casting being too many gimmick casting choices. We did not need the leg hair lady, the flipping lady, the weird elf, and the banana lady on the same cast. The latter two of those four that I just mentioned proved to be more than just gimmicks and were actually really good additions to the season, so, you know, it's not all bad. Hell, one of the two actually won the season, which is why I assume Season 17 has so many gimmick casting choices. Of course, the cast misunderstood why people love Nymphia and went, aha, let's try to replicate this. But no, you cannot repeat such a layered yet whimsical and easy to digest character. This season overall had one of the best runway presentations. I would maybe go as far as saying that it had the best runways of any regular season, where even the less polished queens still brought interesting concepts to the runways. Some of the runway looks felt all-stars ready even. I think I counted 4 episodes total where I would have been okay with there being no below safe placements, or at least nobody lip-syncing for their life, in episodes 5, 9, 10, and 12. Sometimes a cast is good because it had a couple of good individual queens, whereas sometimes a cast is good just as an assembly. I meant to say ensemble, not assembly. What the hell? For Season 16's cast, I think both things are true. I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion, but this is the first regular season where not a double, but a triple crowning would have been a totally plausible outcome of the season. The top 3 really were that good. And in any other season, Sapphira or Plain Jane would have been the winner. They showed us Plain Jane and Nymphia's relationship so well throughout the season, and they did not beat us over the head with the setup of Plain saving Nymphia. It felt really natural and understandable while watching. So the major storyline of the season was really well done. However, there are some aspects of the season that needed work. I like the idea of the immunity potion, but why does it expire at top 7? Obviously this was borrowed from Survivor, but most of their proper idols last until top 6, 5, or 4 depending on the format. Next, on Season 15, they talk about point systems and rankings, and now on Season 16, in the first competitive episode, they're doing queens rating each other for the placements. The doors I've opened, oh my god. The rate a queen system I think should be kept for all stars due to pre-existing alliances and whatnot, but I do enjoy how it was implemented in this season and the drama that it gave. Even though the casting was good this season, the show yet again could not properly divide the cast into 2 groups in the premieres. The first group had like 4 or 5 possible winners for the variety show, and group 2 literally only had like 2. In general, the constant pairing by the production is a poor choice, and too much production meddling let the queens divide themselves, or get in groups themselves rather. So for example, Dawn and Mhi'ya, not Maya, that word in no universe, no language can be read as Maya, were sabotaged in episode 11. I mean, neither of them was winning the season, but like, still, give them a fair shot at the challenge. The 1-hour episodes are really dragging on. Give it up. Even though I love design challenges, the episode 9 design challenge was such a drag to watch, because there are about 20 minutes of that episode of queens just like diddly-daddling around the workroom. And don't get me wrong, I do love watching queens just like do their shit in the workroom, but it's all fluff. The biggest crime of this season was that when they were doing the Bloody Mary lip sync, they used a TikTok version. Just like wrap it up. No, the original song is great, no need to TikTokify it. Actually, no. The biggest mistake of this season was made in the finale. What was the criteria for the top 2 choice in the end? I would like to see it. I mean, we know what it was, but just like, let's talk about this. Plain Jane and Nymphia had the strongest bond as shown to us on the season. So, an obvious top 2. Plain Jane and Sapphira had the best track records of the season. So, another obvious top 2. What I'm saying is, looking at it from the competition perspective, or from the storytelling perspective, Plain Jane should have been in that top 2 in the finale, whether she ended up winning in the end or not. But we know that Plain was not in the top 2 because she's of Russian descent, and that was the show's weird attempt at social commentary. But like, they did not even try to mask it or explain it with something else. It's really weird. The main character of this season was left out of the final top 2 because of the fucking Cold War. This is the point system, let's go. In the last, 14th place, we have the first eliminated queen of the season, Hershii LiqCour-Jeté. But do you guys get it? Because it's like food, you know, she's named after food. That's like not dehumanizing at all. Hershii-Jeté is a good name. And then you also have the pun of like Hershii being like her. She. Anyways, yeah, early out, don't have anything else to say about Hershii. In the 13th place, going again by the order of elimination, we have Mirage. Are we surprised that a Native American queen on Drag Race was not given the most favorable of edits and was an early out? I'm not surprised. Are you surprised? I actually enjoyed Mirage on the season for the little time that she spent on there, although it was noticeable that her preparedness for the season was less than most of the other queens on this cast. Therefore, her track record graph is not that interesting. The queens in the 12th and 11th spot have the same PP score. They have the same number of wins too, and neither won a mini challenge. However, one of them was responsible for the elimination of the other, so in the 12th place, I'm putting Geneva Karr, who has one of the weirdest track records on the show. Even though she was in the top 2 for her first episode, and she was declared as one of the winners in the Maxi Challenge in episode 5, I genuinely have no notes written on Geneva's time on the show. In the 11th place with the same PP score, but lasting twice as long in the competition, we have Mhi'ya Iman LePage. This spelling is in the same boat for me as like a Kimberly that's, you know, Kimber, Leigh, or anything like that. Like, you're being annoying. Just stop. Listen, I'm gonna be honest. My enjoyment, or lack thereof, of this queen on this season was very much so influenced by my annoyance of her spelling her name. Her track record is wild, though. She got every single placement possible on her time on the show. The next 2 queens, yet again, have the same score. No mini challenge wins. Ironically, no maxi challenge wins either. However, one of them competed for only 4 episodes, while the other competed for 12. Therefore, in the 10th place, we have a mandatory meeting. Such a stupid name, but it actually works as a name. Like I mentioned earlier, this season had some queens that were not necessarily fully baked yet, but had a good recipe, and Amanda was one of them. Very good performer. The concepts for her looks were quite outlandish, but I vibed with most of them. But she did look like she did not belong when compared to most of the cast. Her track record is not really interesting. In the 9th place is Morphine Dion, with, like I said, the same PP score, but with also such an inconsistent track record. Regarding Morphine, I'm sorry, she's too nasty and rude for like no reason. The rudeness checks once you hear her life story on the season. I know what you're gonna say.
Oh my god, pot calling the kettle black, you're also so rude.
This is just an opinion, and also I live in Serbia. I have an excuse. However, I must say, I like her humor whenever she would talk about her runway looks. She really knows how to sell herself. But also, Morphine bodied episode 10's Maxi Challenge, from the lyrics to the singing to the dancing to her look to the entire package. Obviously, she could not compete with Sapphira, but that was such a good showing for Morphine, and I kinda do wish she got a win in this episode, at least out of pity. In the 8th place, we have Megami with a 2.83 recurrent PP score. I am so confused with Megami. There is definitely a strong concept there when it comes to the look, but compared to Q, Nymphia, and even Sapphira, who would also come out onto the runway wearing like 75,000 pieces of fabric and accessories, Megami never looked like she edited her outfits. Also, I am kinda confused about her inclusion this season because Drag Race should know by now not to cast queens that are just good at one specific thing. I bet that Megami has many more talents, but she did not necessarily share them on Drag Race. In the 7th place, we got Dawn. I love how Ru would pronounce Dawn's name. Dawn. It's like Dawn. I can't even do it, like Dawn. I absolutely love her aesthetic. I did not want to group her previously with Q, Nymphia, and Sapphira because Dawn does look busy when she goes maximalist with her looks. But with her aesthetic, it always makes sense. But also, my favorite look of hers, which you're seeing right now, is pretty minimalist, actually. Well, it's as minimalist as you can be with, Dawn's aesthetic. Like I said, she was a gimmick casting choice, but she was way more than like a Cristál method type of a queen that relies solely on her aesthetic, and RuPaul's crush on her. It was obvious that Dawn was not winning the season, but she was a very good addition to the season, and I cannot wait to see her on All Stars. In the 6th place, we have Xunami Muse. Oh my god, proper Latino representation on Drag Race. I adored Xunami on this season. I liked her runway looks, her performances in challenges were serviceable, yeah. It was clear that she was not winning the season, but she also did not feel like a filler. She had smart things to say, she was actually educating the viewers with her stories, and honestly, I've only got nice things to say about her. Low-key, also call me. Just call me. In the 5th place, we have Plasma. Was there a big negative fan reaction when she was eliminated? Because I'm telling you, I was shocked. Plasma's time on the season was lovely. Her talent show performance was actual variety, probably the only variety performance ever on the show. Her flowers look floored me. It's actually amazing how beautiful and elegant that entire look was. She also always had a great back and forth with the judges, so that was always a plus as a viewer. She can be funny when she needs to be, she's a great singer, performer, so overall she was a great casting choice. And if we're saying anyone was robbed this season, it's Plasma. Also, and I do mean this from the bottom of my heart, call me. In the 4th place, we have Q. Alright, Q's talent show was my favorite from this season, but also maybe my favorite talent show ever. It was so ridiculous and amazing and clever. But Q's shining moment, the runways, they were insanely good. She and Nymphia for season 16 did to the runway what Raja had done to it on season 3. It's amazing that there are still queens being able to innovate and elevate the competition. With that in mind, I think Q should have won the first ball, but Nymphia was definitely a close second. Q was right. She did not get a single negative critique, while Nymphia did. Her flowers runway look also floored me, and it gave me Onyx from Drag Race España, and y'all know how much I loved Onyx. She was also 100% correct in her frustration after episode 11's Maxi Challenge. She or Plain Jane should have won that. I agree with her based on how I saw the episode, but also reading what the judges and the producers told us, it should have been one of them, with Nymphia and Sapphira being below them. It's insane watching season 16 right after season 15 and seeing that they were trying to break Lucy in season 15 and then trying to break Q in season 16. I don't know about you, but I don't want the queens to be frustrated and in a bad mood on Drag Race. Again, cannot stress this enough, I loved Q. Actually, I loved everyone from the top 7 of this ranking based on the track records. I've already mentioned that Sapphira and Plain have the best track records of this season, so it's no surprise that Nymphia Wind, sadly, is in the 3rd place here. However, this is a pretty good track record. It's not as good, knowing that she had won the season and that 2 other people had a better track record, but you know, compared to most of the other winners, it's good. Nymphia is insane. I love her so much. Nymphia presents herself as a gimmick queen, and that is like the surface level of her. But she's so much more than the banana and yellow joke. Nymphia brought such greatness to the runway that it was hard for me to pick just one of her looks to have on the loop now that I'm talking about her. She was made for TV. Incredible personality. She's also incredibly likable. She understands when she can be silly and when she needs to be serious. She does not need to tell you that she's great. She will just show you. However, I do wish the showrunners had actually shown her as anything more than a side character. Watching the season and knowing that she would end up winning it, I was like, she sure is Plain Jane's best friend. Yup, that's Nymphia's character this season. Don't get me wrong, I love the relationship that they showed between the two, but that was Nymphia's pretty much only storyline this season, which is a shame. I've been begging for proper representation for any queen that is not black or white, though at this point not even those are represented properly, and Drag Race had this gem of a queen on their hands and they still did not showcase her well. In the second place, we have Plain Jane. Oh, Plain Jane, my beloved. You too, call me. Not only because you're hot, but also because I've been trying to do a video with you for months and your people have been ignoring the shit out of my emails. Oh my god. So, Plain Jane was the main character of this season. There's no doubt about it. And the thing is, she made herself the main character. Not only that, she also made the season fun from the start. I know she came off as rude to some people, but she was genuinely supportive to a lot of the queens that were, in her mind, on her level of drag. Some people may see her as a villain, but she's clearly the anti-hero of this season. Which is why, again, the season is such an interesting watch. Plain is made for TV. She's phenomenal. Even though she had a lot of good runways, Hershii runway is probably the most stunning that anyone has ever looked on Drag Race runway. Kind of like Plasma, Plain's banter with the judges is really smart. The episode 12 scene where she opened up about her struggles genuinely felt like the moment in the season when the production decided to give her the crown. It was so integral to her story, but also to the story of the season. Sadly, of course, she was shown disrespect in the finale, and I think that her reputation, once she gets on All Stars, is going to lead to her actually not winning it. Either because she's a really big threat, or because the other queens will know how to combat her. In the first place, we have the queen that almost, she was so close, beat Bianca Del Rio's track record. Sapphira Cristál. I hate to say it yet again, but please, I beg you, call me. Why are there so many good-looking queens on this season? I mean, 5 or 6, but for Drag Race, that's 1,000? Anyways, Sapphira started the season off with an insanely stupid, insanely great, insanely talented, insanely show-stopping talent show performance. From the get-go, she was there to demolish the other queens. She also had a great back and forth with the judges, and what I love most about her is that she knows her brand completely. She absolutely bodies episode 10. It's probably one of the best single episode performances of all time on Drag Race. However, she lost that crown the moment that she took that immunity potion. It's so bizarre to watch the season after that moment, because after that, she goes on a high streak, interrupted by a single bottom 2 placement, but you know that even though she's dominating the rest of the cast, she's not going to win, because she messed up the twist. It's such a shame. She should have listened to her gut. Sapphira is already on an All-Stars level with her drag, so once she does get on All-Stars, just walk out of there if you see her. Just give up going up against her. It will not end well. The biggest winner of the season, aka the queen that placed the most spots above her original placement, is Plasma. The biggest loser of the season is the Spelling Bee champion herself, Mhi'ya Iman LePage, placing 4 spots below her original placement. Now here are some notes regarding the placements. Episode 1 or 2 rankings are based on how the queens voted, so the top 2 queens are win and high, the rest safe. The immunity potion just makes you safe. In episode 5, literally everyone got positive critiques but Q and Amanda, and Ru pulled out the who should go home tonight question, which is their go-to in these recent seasons when they don't know what to do. The judging made no sense because some of the winners had very questionable looks, but then that entire team won. But then on the other end, the bottom two were from different teams, so this challenge was not judged in teams. They could have easily had a winning team with one winner, a safe team, and a losing team with a bottom two, or judge it completely individually. This way, it's just a mess with everyone being high but the bottom two queens. The first episode where we don't have an obvious low, safe, high split is episode 9. In this episode, Sapphira, Nymphia, and Q were the obvious top 3. Plain was also called safe with them, but she did have mixed to positive critiques, meaning she actually got more negative critiques than the top 3. Therefore, Plain is just safe in this episode. The rest of the placements are obvious. Episode 10 is really weird. Look at this shit. This was the breakdown. The lowest critiques given to anyone were to Plain Jane, with positive to mixed for the challenge and positive for the runway. Those are not critiques for someone who's supposed to be low. That's like safe at worst, high at best. We get a top 2 where the winner of the challenge gets the win, the loser is high, so the rest of the queens are safe. Episode 11's results make zero sense with the critiques. Look at the breakdown of the critiques, with the first being about the challenge and the second about the runway. The end result in the table is based on how they were ranked on the show, meaning even though Sapphira did not get the best edit or critiques, she won! The second best person is Nymphia, so I guess she gets to be high, and Plain and Q would thus, by comparison, have to be safe. Episode 12, here's the breakdown of the critiques. Plain and Sapphira winning makes sense for the episode. With this 6 queens and 6 placements, we cannot give anyone a high placement. But also, looking at the critiques, nobody really deserved a high placement. Morphine and Q got the same amount of mixed critiques for both the challenge and the runway, but Q was seen as better than Nymphia, who is low, but then Morphine, who also got mixed critiques, like I said, is in the bottom 2. Make it make sense. Lastly, for episode 13, the dreaded makeover challenge. Plain won and Q got the next best critiques, so she's high. Nymphia got positive to mixed critiques, therefore safe, and the bottom 2 was bottom 2ing with the critiques as well. And that's it. That's the video. I think this is going to be my longest cast ranking video to date, but it really only is because the cast was so fun to watch and it was really a fantastic season. There were also like some shenanigans in the season that you could not really ignore that I had to talk about, but either way, what a lovely season. Definitely the best double-digit season. Anyone who thinks season 12 is good needs a lobotomy, and season 16 is better than some single-digit seasons as well. What did you think of this season? Who do you want to take you out on a date? Should we make it a 3-way date? Or 4-way? I don't mind. Sound off in the comments, and thank you for watching.